You've probably heard it said before that if you want to master a skill, you need to train it like a muscle. Welcome to another episode of Boris Debrief, the channel where we break down career stories, hair business stories, alumni, baking and entertainment. I want to take you to a story of how I created my first salon, hair salon. At this point, I am in college or university, the University of Boya, which is the only Anglo-Saxon university in my country, Cameroon, in Central Africa. Oh, you be students, please drop a like or a hi in the comments. Now, I am in the university and, coming from a boarding school where I've never grown my hair before, or my classmates, many other schools where we just don't grow hair when you're in school, in boarding school. We are all learning now how to grow our hair, how to do beautiful hairstyles. It's exciting. This is the point where you're becoming your own woman. You're trying to narrow down your own style, how you present yourself, how you want to be perceived. And with women, generally, hair is one thing that always speaks before we even speak. Your hair speaks for you. There's so many messages that are conveyed through the kind of hairstyle that you opt for. So here we are experimenting with different hairstyles. I have this very good friend. She's still a very dear friend to this day, Anita, with whom we would try all kinds of styles. We would go from cornrows to little braids to what we used to call back then ravese. It was a kind of cornrow that was very tiny, and you braid it all the way down and then put some attachment at the back. There were all kinds of styles we were playing with. Anita and I did a lot of hair braiding back then. Now, where is my first salon? Right there on my balcony. The balcony right in front of my my room where I lived as a university student, the mini city where I lived. Now, I don't know what it's called now or if it still exists, but I used to live in a hostel called Casa Astra that was located directly behind Paramount Hotel and adjacent to BBC Snack Bar. It was a very popular hostel back then, and it was quite old. It was old, but it was very accessible right there, very close to the road. So on my balcony, and I happened to have gotten the room that is facing the road directly. So the minicity was kind of an L-shaped building, and I was right there on the top floor, second floor up, and on the corner. So when you get out of my room, the first thing you see is the road. You can see everything that's happening. It was a beautiful view. So where I was always seated there, if I was not in class or I didn't have any other activities, I would be out there, maybe sometimes just, sightseeing, just looking at people going around from place to place. And my friend Anita used to spend a lot of time with me at my room. So we would braid out there. That spot became a hot spot for braiding. Members of my minicity would come to have the little cornrow done. Our friends from high school would stop by, would get their hair done. There we were, practicing this skill. Anita had a specific way she would go in and put the root of the braiding hair. I had a different method. There was another lady who lived next door, and she too knew how to braid. She had a different method. Guess what I did? I mixed all of those three methods together, and mine became the most enhanced method of putting down the root and braiding the hair. I remember that there was a day we had been out there braiding, and guess what? There was the strike that started in, I think, 2005, 2006. There was a very serious strike by university students. It had started on a day when Anita and I were out there braiding. I just remember someone running from the streets, from all the main street that was directly in front of us, running into our ministry shouting, "Oh my God, there are students out there breaking stuff at the university entrance. The police have been deployed." And it was scary, but I was always caught braiding. Just to tell you how much I invested in this passion of braiding, constantly. We're practicing and practicing. Anita and I were known for different kinds of hairstyles. We became the, the icons, if I may put it so. At school, people will always comment on our hair. You know where we got inspiration from? R. Kelly. There was a time we would watch every single album R. Kelly is releasing, not because we were so passionate about R. Kelly or loved his music. We wanted to see what's the latest cornrow. You know, R. Kelly used to do a lot of cornrows. What was the latest cornrow he has come up with this time? And behold, we'll go ahead and practice it. I had a new hairstyle almost every 2 weeks. And Anita, since she was always there, I will braid her hair, she will braid mine. Sometimes our friends will even summon us to their own rooms. And, but then we're not charging a dime. Dumb us. We should have been charging even something small, but we will go all the way out and do it and braid their hair. But again, we're doing it out of passion. It was fun. It became that activity that we would relax into. Like when it's time to just sit around, talk to our neighbors, talk to our friends who came to visit. That was a kind of a pastime thing. Little did I know I was practicing a skill that someday will become a business. Here we are today. I created this brand, Buris Hair Clues. I have a lot to share when it comes to how I came about this brand, but the bottom line is that was my training ground, the University of Boya. That spot in front of my my university room, which became my first salon. I know you probably have been thinking maybe I opened up some stall somewhere. No, the front of my university room was my first salon. I'm telling this story to emphasize the fact that if you really want to master something, there is no other way than repetition. Repetition is the key. When you repeat and repeat, that's why in most gyms you hear of reps. That's what it's all about, repetition, so that you get good at it. Thank you so much for listening to this debrief today. I'll be bringing you more stories regarding my hair brand, and I will put the link to my my website in the comments. If you have any comments regarding hair, or if you've done the same thing in the past, please do drop a comment, like, share, and subscribe. There will be more stories coming on this channel. Bye for now.